Hi, welcome. This is my executive producer Myrtle, who is keeping me company while I do some art with you today. Join me up at my craft table. She can't fit up there because I just sit on a stool, but she is here at my side, and rolling over for the belly rub. That is her job. She lives for the belly rubs. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Hello, welcome back. I'm so glad you're joining me. I'm finally made it back here. Last Friday, January 9th, was Quitter's Day. That is the day that 80% of people who make New Year's resolutions quit, give up on them. I was a little bit ill last week, so I didn't get to make a video on Quitter's Day, which was my intention. But I have not quit. I'm continuing, and so I'd like to have you continue along with me. And let's start with just a nice calming exercise. I like going into working on any type of artistic, creative activity with just centering myself and seeing if I'm relaxed. I just rushed in from an appointment that I had, and was feeling a little bit stressed from trying to get home in between activities, so now I just want to take a nice deep breath. Sometimes it just takes one nice deep diaphragmatic breath to go from an elevated heart rate and tension to relaxation. One of the key things is to be breathing out longer than you're breathing in. So if you breathe in for 4, breathe out through pursed lips through 8. So in through your nose. I didn't count, but I breathed out longer than I breathed in. And if breathing, for some people, taking a deep diaphragmatic breath somehow it can make them feel uncomfortable. It can actually increase anxiety for some people. I've had a few people say that to me. So if you like to sing, if there's music that you like to sing along to, and you're trying to bring yourself back to a place of calm, turn that music on, because singing is breathing out longer than you're breathing in, and the vibration in your vocal cords will also help activate your vagus nerve and get your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in and bring you to a place of calm, because your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in your body that runs the length of it, and it is responsible for your fight, flight, or freeze response, and for returning you to a place of calm. It's very much involved in that. So your vocal cords run right in front of that, and so when they vibrate for a longer period of time, like through I'm not a singer. That's all they're probably ever going to hear me sing. It activates your vagus nerve and brings you to a place of calm. So we want to enter a space like this with a relaxed association, so that you're not coming in frantic like, oh no, I wanted to do this and I'm trying to fit it in. Well, if you don't get to watch this whole video, that's okay. But if part of what you do with this is that you just get some relaxation, that's great. Because that's the point of this, is calming art. What do we do that helps us? What can we do that can help us feel more relaxed, and get that right side of our brain, the creative area, engaged, where kind of nonverbal memories live, and emotions live, and just relax. So I am still working on these stars. I have made a few more, which I think I gave away. I did. But I'm really enjoying making them, especially now that I didn't make my Christmas deadline. The pressure is off, and I'm trying to make them. I'm bound and determined to still continue these and complete the project that I started, so that Christmas this year of 2026, I can use them to as gift tags. I probably will not make them into ornaments, but the people that I've used them as gift tags for really enjoyed them, and that's what I'd like to do. And I like the way they look too. They're kind of fun to make. So bring whatever project you're working on. If you want to color, if you want to do something like this, and just kind of follow along, drop a comment down below to let me know what it is you're working on. I don't know if you can put pictures in comments on YouTube, but if you can, I'd love to see a photo of what you're working on. If you can, I'll figure out how to do that. So follow along and let's get creating some beauty. So one thing that I have decided this year, well, not this year, every year I do this. I really am not a fan of New Year's resolutions. I like New Year's goals, objectives, things that you can work on a gradual basis. Resolutions are so absolute and so they're so all or nothing. And that's why Quitter's Day exists, because people are like, oh my goodness, they planned to lose 20 pounds, eat healthy, exercise 5 to 7 times a week, whatever the things may be, but all at once. That's a lot of change all at once. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who can't do that. There are people who can do that, excuse me. It's a lot. And sustainable change happens in smaller increments over time. And so if you just make one change, that's great. One of my goals for this year is to do something creative each day. I don't know if I'll get them all in these videos. The other thing I'd like to do is make one of these videos a week minimum. I'd like to do more, but if I get one done a week, that will make me happy. So instead of, I know I just said I was going to work on the hearts, but this is a really fun thing, that instead of having a list of goals that you're trying to work towards, a friend of mine a couple of years ago handed out these bingo cards. Well, these are 2026 ones, obviously, but she also, we started at with 2025, and they're bingo cards of New Year's bingo. So you just write something in each little square. You can decorate it. You can put stickers on it. The middle one on this one is your birthday, so that's a freebie. You can cross that off right away. Or I like to use gold stars when I've done one and put the gold star on it. I think that goes back to getting gold stars in elementary school as a kid. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be, some huge lofty goal. In fact, it's better to have smaller ones. And it's not about completing everything in every square. It's about getting bingo, so that it gives you time. It's less pressure, but you can say, oh, I did these things and I got them done in a time frame that was manageable. So clearly I haven't filled any of these out. I'm going to use this one because it has Richard Scarry characters on it, and I loved Richard Scarry books growing up. I can see if I have a template for that and try and post a link in the comments. I have to look for it online, but if you can find a template and print it, that is even better, because you'll be able to do it quicker than I can probably find that. So let's think about small goals you want. I'm sorry, I just shook my entire table. Minus this, I want to, well, I'm going to put on there, create my bingo card as one of my New Year's bingo things, because then I could just check that off right away. So that's what I do when I make to-do lists too. I write, the number one is write to-do list, and then I've already started it, so I can cross it off, and it just is very satisfying. So, yeah, so what are some things that you would like to see shift in your life this year? It can be something as simple as get out of bed 15 minutes earlier, go to bed 15 minutes earlier, take time to notice your surroundings. Sometimes in life we get so busy that we don't notice our surroundings. I know when I was in grad school, that was that was the struggle for me. I was always had my head in my face in a book, or was thinking about the next project I was working on or the class I was going to, and I was working full time. And so it was, there was not a lot of noticing of my surroundings. And that can get that way now too. I work a lot, and so I try to, now that's one of the things I do daily when I take my dog outside, before I go to bed at night. I intentionally look up at the stars, because I just forget to do that sometimes. And I absolutely love looking up at the night sky, even if it's freezing out. Sometimes that's just really invigorating, which isn't great right before you go to bed, but so I do try to keep it short if I'm taking her out right before I go to bed. But you know, just looking up at the sky, it can be the daytime, you're looking up at the sky, or the things you didn't notice before. There's so much beauty in nature that we miss. I love looking at clouds, and I live on the coast, and so the sky can change from minute to minute. It's quite impressive. I have a friend that lives out in Oklahoma, and the skies out there can certainly change very quickly, being in Tornado Alley, which scares me to death, but I think the people that live out there seem to be a little bit more used to it. I don't know, and don't seem to be quite as frightened of thunderstorms, but the sky can be beautiful. So taking time to look at natural art is really what I'm saying. I'm rambling a bit. But so drop a comment. Let me know what brings you calm and peace. And is it just something in nature? I love animals. And so if there's some place that I can go and I can pet an animal, especially farm animals, I do that. I love dogs. And so I have been known to be late to things because I encountered a dog somewhere. So the things that bring you that little spark of joy, a glimmer, and if it's not right there in the present moment, you know, you're not somewhere where you can look up at the sky or you can see, you know, pet a donkey, bring to mind the last time you pet a donkey or looked up at the sky, and thinking about what you remember seeing and hearing and smelling. With the donkey, I smelled something that wasn't too pleasant, but the fresh air, the temperature, what was the lighting? These are all parts of memories and parts of our experiences. And so often people think a memory of an experience is just the narrative. But when you think about all the different ways you engage your senses when you're doing things, going outside, or, you know, doing art, petting animals, those are part of the memories too. Our bodies remember these, the feeling, the physical feeling. Our brains remember the emotion that we had at the moment. And that's why I like doing things that are creative. Coloring, I love coloring. I was thrilled when they came out with adult coloring books, right? And these markers that I just recently purchased, I love. They are so satisfying. They're acrylic paint markers. And I've had watercolor markers and alcohol markers, and they're wonderful too. These are very opaque, and so they cover it's great coverage and very fluid in its in the movement. And so if you can see down below here, it just does great coverage, and it doesn't bleed. It takes a second to dry, and I have made that mistake and ended up with some acrylic paint on me and some smudges, but if you're careful, it's okay. And I happen to be a lefty, so if I'm going, I have to, you know, when I'm doing something creative, I can go this direction, but when I'm writing, so I did try to write out a couple of, when I use these as gift tags, I tried to write out the names and ended up smudging them because I went right across it with my hand. But so they are not water. They don't wash off easily. So if you do get acrylic markers, I do recommend not wearing your best clothes, if you tend to wear the art that you make, which I do. So yeah, but also if you're not feeling like doing this, right? The motivation, I have plenty of people who are like, well, I have all the supplies, and they sit there. I leave these sitting out on my little art table here because then it's just easier. It's easier access, and it's in my visual line. I'm in my living room right now, and this is just kind of over on one side. And I leave it up so that I can see it. And once in a while, if I might not even be thinking about doing anything creative, but if there's something sitting here, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll sit for a couple minutes and do that. I'm trying to be more intentional about it so that, especially when I get home from work, I am a counselor. That says that in my description. But sometimes when I get home from work, I just need something to help me transition to a more relaxed state internally, where I can process all that I heard through the day and give myself a little bit of distance from it, and just do something that's really satisfying. And if it's, especially if it's something that I can start and have a start and an end, and with a finished product, that's so satisfying. And these markers are really good. They're a brand called Ohuhu, Ohuhu. Of all the markers I've tried, I really enjoy these. These are my first acrylic markers that I've tried, so there could be other acrylic markers that are better. I don't really know, but I really like them. So I'm using them. But when you're doing it, like, just thinking about how the marker feels in your hand, or if you're knitting, how does the yarn feel in your hand? Is it soft? Are you using a really soft cotton or a merino wool? What kind of, or even a synthetic? Some of the, a lot of the synthetic yarn now is very, very soft. What are you using when you knit? How do your knitting needles feel in your hand, or your crochet hook? A friend of mine for Christmas gave me one of those Wooble kits. I have not tried it yet, but I opened it up and I had the hook in my hand, and it's a little ergonomic hook, and it felt so good to hold. I was ready to start crocheting right then, except that I have to watch the video on how to do it, so I couldn't do it then. But that feel makes a big difference too, because you're grounding yourself. You're bringing yourself into your body and out of your head. And so often anxiety, PTSD, anxiety, depression, so many different mental health struggles. We get stuck inside our own head. You can get, even OCD too. You can, or anything that can cause you to ruminate or worry. So breaking that loop and just getting into your body, like, I am really enjoying how this star is coming out. I'm gonna layer the colors, I think, it's a little bit hard for me to talk while I do art, so maybe I'll just color some of these in, and you can watch for a minute while I do this, and maybe you're sick of hearing me talk, so I will color for just a few of these. You can hear I have a resident crow that lives, I think, on top of my porch. It likes to start making noise at random times when I'm wanting quiet, but I can appreciate that. They're living their lives and doing their wild bird thing. The only thing I don't really care for is that they tend to drop things in my driveway that my dog then finds and tries to eat. My dog Myrtle, my executive producer, who's currently laying on the floor near me. But sometimes quiet and just creating helps you notice the other sounds around you. That you would otherwise ignore. How does quieting your space and your doing an activity that is quiet help you? Do you find that there's a lot of noise that goes on in your head? Are you able to quiet the noise when you do something like coloring or knitting or crocheting? It feels so satisfying to do this. And I also am realizing that I think I'm using the Syracuse colors. Orange outline, except that their main color is orange. So maybe this will go to my friend's daughter who goes to Syracuse. Yeah, is there something that you find really helps you to bring yourself to a place of calm, to find, to get yourself out of your own head? I can get stuck in my head if I have a lot of administrative things to do. The administrative aspect of life is not my strong suit. I try really hard, but it takes all of my energy. And so, so I'm not, I don't hide that. I tell people that. I'm like, well, if you have something you want me to do that takes organization and or administrative skills, it's not going to be instant. It's just going to take some time because I have to really make sure that I'm able to focus and do it in shorter increments. Otherwise, I will get a little overwhelmed and it gets done even slower. And that's when I start to procrastinate, is when I feel overwhelmed by an activity. But that is also why, when I think about that, it can be really hard to start. And right now, with the new year having started and Quitter's Day having come and gone, it's been about continuing, not necessarily starting, but I know that for some people starting is challenging too, because the enormity of certain tasks can feel overwhelming, like, oh, I'm never going to get that done. Why did I even try? Well, in this 20 minutes that I've been on with you or so, I can't see the clock right now. I don't have my glasses on. I've gotten this done. It's almost another whole star colored in. It's not totally done, but it's better than it was before. It's not just a plain white star. And so it can be that, if you're doing something that's, I know knitting is a little bit harder because you have to count stitches and everything, and probably crocheting too, but if you can do that for 5 minutes, various times throughout your day or evening. Maybe if you're at work, it's going to be harder. I don't really have time to do those things when I'm at work either. But what are ways that you can just do little bits here and there, kind of like a brain break, and something that isn't just scrolling on your phone? And I know you're watching this on YouTube right now, so I'm not against scrolling on your phone. Clearly I'm on YouTube, but things that engage your mind more than, but in a different way than your usual way of engaging your mind, can make a world of difference in just your stress level. It can make it can make a difference in mental health symptoms. It can really decrease anxiety and improve depression because there's something to seeing even little bits of progress, because just little bit by little bit adds up. And there is a bit of a dopamine hit that you get when you see something getting completed or getting close to completion or even started. That momentum can be hard. So you might just start by picking up your marker if you're coloring and holding it and seeing what it feels like. Coloring on something, this is a bit of wrapping paper I have left over here from Christmas, and just, color on something that isn't art but gets your pen moving, right? So there's a little bit of what we would say is sympathetic energy moving. Sympathetic energy is our mobilizing energy. It's the mobilizing part of our vagus nerve, right? Vagus nerve, excuse me. It gets us, it's not just fight, flight, or freeze. It also is the thing that when our alarm goes off, it gets us up and out of bed and ready for work and out the door on time. It's that mobilizing energy. Polyvagal theory splits the vagus nerve up into 3 branches. There's also ventral vagal, which is that rest and digest state. All is well with the world. You're feeling connected to yourself. You're feeling socially connected. There's, you're just that look. That is up here. Sympathetic is here, and down here is dorsal vagal shutdown, right? And so dorsal vagal shutdown is more like where you just kind of don't want to do anything, and maybe you see stuff that you want to work on, but you don't have the motivation. And so that could be something like this too, right? You want to do something artistic, but you don't feel creative. So sometimes just putting a pen to the paper. One of the things that my mother would do when we were kids and would be on long car rides, she would bring a pad of paper and she would just do a little squiggly on it and give us each one. And our task was to turn it into a picture. So it engaged, it was creative. It was also, 70s and 80s, so there were not electronic devices, but it's helped us get a start. And so, if you don't have someone else to draw a squiggly for you, start drawing your own squigglies and see what comes of it. Sometimes it's just getting that feel. This starts to engage your brain, and it can trigger positive feelings too. It's not just negative feelings that get triggered. Positive feelings can get triggered. That feeling of like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was like to color, and that's what it was like to draw if you used to draw or paint. And so, this is silly, but it got my pen moving. And if I had been sitting here having difficulty starting, that could do that. And if you're sitting on your couch watching this and you're like, I'm gonna have to get up and go across the room. Okay, so next time you get up to use the bathroom or get some water, grab a pen, a pencil, a piece of paper, something that you can just start to scribble. Because in order to get sympathetic energy, the mobilizing energy going, if you're in a dorsal vagal shutdown, sometimes it's just moving one finger like that. That tap is sympathetic energy. And that builds momentum. And sometimes maybe it's holding a pen, maybe a pen with the cap on, so you don't, accidentally write on yourself or something. And then you pull the cap off. This may seem like, yeah, but I should be able to do more than that. The whole should and shouldn't be able to do more than that. You might not be at a place where you can do that. If you've had a really long, exhausting day, or you have, you're struggling with some depression, my hope is that you are seeing a professional. And if you are not, please know that this is not a substitution for therapy. This is to help get creativity going and helping you and me to get projects going and finished and continued, right? So I didn't give up on Quitter's Day. I did not quit. I continued. I'm continuing. So let's be continuers together. And continuing may be just tapping that finger. All right, there's some sympathetic energy. Just scribbling with a pen. Just holding the yarn in your hands if you're going to knit. Holding the paintbrush in your hand if you're a painter. If you sew, get a spool of thread. Hold the spool of thread. Because that will eventually get that neuronal pathway started. It can reawaken it. Every time you do something like that, it's a neuronal pathway that's at work. And so we want to strengthen the ones that help you live life in a happy, well, we're not always happy, in a content, able to cope way. So I'll work on this some more on my own. I didn't get much done. I do have to go. But I'm so glad that you joined me. If this is a relaxing space for you and you would like to join me again, I'm going to be doing this at least once a week. I'm trying for more than that. my schedule has blown up a little bit this year so far, so I will do the best I can with doing this more than once a week. But I really would love to have you join me. If there are any types of art or craft projects you would like to start, but you want someone else to do it with you, drop a comment below, and I'm happy to try a new project. And, you know, I'm a fan of using the materials that you already have, you know, because so many things can be repurposed. And I know there's way too much in this world that's disposable. And if I look at my craft room right now, there's a lot of stuff I need to use and repurpose and everything. So please join me again. I'd really love to have you here, and I look forward to getting to know you. You know, tell me who you are in the comments, and what you enjoy working on, or what you used to enjoy working on that you want to find joy in again. That can be a difficult place. So let's continue with our New Year's goals. I'm going to try to figure out how to put a template of this in the comments. Yeah, let's continue our New Year's goals, and hopefully I'll see you back here in a week. Take care. Bye.